Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Tuesday night's pregame blitz playoff round one edition. Hope you guys are having a great week. It's been pretty good here, pretty busy here. Um, you know, when we started this season, just about every fan alive. Well, let me back it up. When we started the season back in the spring, just about every fan alive had hopes that this was their year. We refrain. We use that old adage, man, we'll get them next year. So this started back in December, and it's like next year is our year. And then the spring practice rolls around. Every fan base is fired up. They see their spring game, which is a glorified scrimmage, but but they see hope. They see hope in their team. And then the season starts. Well, the 7-on-7 season starts and the OTAs, things like that. And they get more fired up. And as a fan, we love it, right? Any little piece of information, we digest, we process it, we love it, and we are convinced that this is our year. And then week one rolls around. Some teams lose, some teams win, but as a fan, you're still on the bandwagon. That's just first game jitters. It's early in the season. What do you expect? You're going to have penalties. You're going to have miscommunication, that kind of stuff. But then something interesting happens. The season starts to zoom by, and you approach the midway point. And this is when reality starts to set in for a lot of fans, myself included. It's like, maybe this just isn't our year. Maybe this just isn't our year for whatever reason. A lot of fans find themselves in that situation tonight. This is just not your year. But here we are on the eve of the round one of the GHSA state playoffs. And the next 5 weeks is going to fly by. But here's the deal. Starting Friday night, if your team loses, you're done. Right. So this is basically a single elimination tournament for all these playoff teams now. You lose, you're done. That's just the way it goes, right? So welcome aboard. It's the pregame blitz on Tuesday night. Flying solo tonight. My super fan Cole Moore. Congratulations to Cole and the Central Yellow Jackets over there in Thomas County, because man, oh man, did they have an excellent year. Cole couldn't be here, but I see Kenneth Hurst checking in to the program tonight on the White Oak Investment comment line. Hey, Kenneth Hurst, congratulations to the Central Jackets over there, man. First-year head coach Justin Rogers, phenomenal year. I know there's some debate out there in Cyberland about whether or not Justin Rogers deserves the kudos. Some are waiting for him to see. Well, let me restate that. Some are waiting to see what Central does in the playoffs before they pour the accolades on Justin Rogers. I, for one, am not hesitating. The guy has done a fantastic job this year. Some people would claim that, since we're talking about Central, Kenneth, some people would claim that he inherited a great squad, like led by Sam Brown, Ricky Fulton, and those guys. But guys, you got to remember, this is the squad that was there last year, and the previous coach couldn't do much with it. Well, I don't know why, because I don't follow the Central Yellow Jackets. I don't know all the ins and outs and things like that. But my point is, Justin Rogers takes over. Yes, it's a 1 year more mature team, but still, he had the same puzzle pieces that the previous administration was working with. And look what he's done. He's magically put all these pieces together and has fashioned a great season. Not just a great season. Taking over a program year one, everybody is willing to cut the new coach some slack, right? Because it's a new head coach, new offensive scheme, new defensive scheme, that kind of stuff. But Central was a little bit different. They were going from 4A and making the jump to 6A. Remember, in 4A, they weren't much of a team the last several years. So now they're jumping up to 6A this year, and everybody, to the person, even if you were a Central Yellow Jacket fan, without doubt, without a doubt, down to the person, you expected this team to not do very well in 6A. You can claim all you want now that you expected this, that kind of stuff. But let's be honest, no one expected Central to do what they've done in 1-6A. At best, we projected just about everybody's like, okay, they're probably playing for a 4th seed. Maybe if they're lucky, if things bounce their way, they might get a 3 seed. But here they are at the end of the season, knocking off Houston and Tift and Lee County on the road, Northside Warner Robins on the road, and they're 10-0. And man, do they have reason to celebrate. So that's why I'm not reserving any type of judgment till after the season. Justin Rogers is my pick for statewide coach of the year because of what he's been able to do over in Thomas County. So, but this is not a Thomas County show. This is a pregame blitz high school football show mixed in with a little of college football because how about them dogs? How about them dogs? We'll get to all that a little bit later on. Hey, congratulations to all the region champions in our area. Congratulations to the Colquitt County Packers, the Thomas County Central Yellow Jackets, the Ware County Gators, the Bainbridge Bearcats, Thomasville Bulldogs, Fitzgerald Purple Hurricane, Irwin County Indians, the Early County Irwin County Indians, the Early County Bobcats, the Charlton Indians. Congratulations to all these guys, all these teams for having a fantastic year and winning your regions outright. Did any of these region champions surprise any of you guys? So I'm gonna throw that question out there. Did any of these region champs surprise any of you guys? Let's go ahead and throw TCC out there. I think they surprised everybody other than TCC, right? So as you guys are thinking about that, I want to go ahead and thank our sponsors, Pepsi Bottling Company, makers of Pepsi, Mountain Dew Rockstar, Mountain Dew Energy, Mountain Dew Spark. Thank you to Pepsi Bottling Company. I'm going to run through these sponsors a little bit quicker than usual because we have a lot of content to cover tonight in a 1-hour show, because right after this show, I have to jump on another show to be a guest on that show. And they're having Steve Nichols, just a little plug here. Steve Nichols is having election night coverage because this is election day. I hope you did your civic duty, regardless of what side of the aisle that you are, whether you're a right-leaning person, left-leaning, independent. I hope you did your civic duty today and took some time out of your day to vote. So anyway, Steve Nichols with Freedom with Steve Nichols will host an election night show tonight. And you can catch that on his Facebook page, Freedom with Steve Nichols. So I'll be leaving here at 8, jumping on his broadcast and providing a little bit of commentary on today's politics as well. So that's why we have to end it kind of right at the hour, top of the hour tonight. So with that said, A Shade of Perfection. Thank you so much to Tim Neesmith, fantastic makers of custom shades and blinds. He has a company called Shade of Perfection. Guys, if you need that service, get it in by the holiday season so you can show your house off, right? Looks beautiful. Give Timmy a call at A Shade of Perfection. We want to thank these guys. These guys have been with us all year long. That's Josh Batson and Justin Haskin with the Migraine and Spine Clinic of Valdosta. They are your certified headache medicine specialists. They offer a variety of migraine and back pain treatments. We thank White Oak Investment, Kyle Conger. His number is 229-850-8848. Guys, if you need advice, sound financial advice or direction, give Kyle a call. I'm sure he'll be willing to just talk to you free of charge. So give him a call, 229-850-8848. And if you want to comment, make sure you comment on tonight's White Oak Investment comment line or give us a shout at 229-469-1205. We thank Matthew Godwin. He's been with us all year. Verizon Wireless on Perimeter Road. If you have the need for iPhones, Androids, accessories, small business accounts, give Matthew a call at Verizon Wireless on Perimeter Road. As I said before, we thank Steve Nichols, Freedom with Steve Nichols. He'll have a political show right after. I think it starts at 8 o'clock, something like that. And we want to thank our friends at Commercial Banking Company as well. If you need a hometown banker that knows you by name, whether you need a personal checking account, savings account, CDs, IRAs, loans, mortgage loans, auto loans, business loans, give the folks at Commercial Banking Company a call, 229-242-7600. So thank you so much to all of our sponsors for sticking with us for all year long. Let's go to the White Oak Investment comment line, see what you guys are saying tonight. Yeah, Jerry Safford. Yeah, absolutely, dude. Congratulations to TCC. New coach and new system too. Absolutely. And new classification, new region as well. Rufus Demand on election day says, I voted for the Hogs. Rufus? Oh, Rufus. You know what I'm talking about. We got eyes and ears everywhere, and you need to behave, Rufus. I'm just kidding, buddy. Hey, listen, when you put yourself out there, whether you're doing a sports show, a political show, you can expect some friendly banter back and forth and people posting about you on message boards and other people's shows. And anyway, that kind of stuff. So Ben Beam, what do you mean had played no one? Come back when man, oh man, you guys are getting into it tonight. Ben, he says, region 16A was the strongest region from top to bottom. Yeah, that region 16A, Ben, makes a very strong argument for the toughest region in the state. Now, there are some other regions that would argue with you some, right? Like a 12A, that was a pretty strong region from top to bottom. Region 13A, I believe, was pretty strong from maybe not the bottom tier, but the top tier was pretty strong. So, but you might have a point there. Region 16A. Now, region 27A, I believe, is pretty strong from top to bottom. The bottom team, I think Campbell may not be as strong as the other three teams, but anyway, region 7A might have something to do, but region 16A is probably a leading contender for one of the strongest, if not the strongest regions in the state. TCC had played in one of the toughest regions in Georgia. Absolutely. From Travis Hart. Kenneth Hurst, what do you mean? Who said the strength of schedule was weak and for what team? I missed something there. So I'm not sure what you're talking about. Who said that? Are you talking about Thomas County Central? Someone said that they had a weak strength of schedule? No. No. If someone said that, they are very, very, very mistaken. Very mistaken. Let's see. Yes, Rufus, I already said that, voted for the Hogs. Listen, even political candidates, long shots, have a chance to win. And my long shot Lowndes Vikings is going to shock the world as a 4 seed. I hope anyway. My fingers are crossed. Fingers are crossed. We'll get into this, Alan, on Thursday night's show, but you asked an interesting question. How bad, I guess you're saying, how bad will Carrollton beat Lowndes Saturday? Alan, come on, my brother. You're a Lowndes fan, right? Alan, are you a Lowndes or a Lanier fan? I can't remember. But come on, man. You got to keep the faith. You got to keep the faith. You got to. Travis Hart. I think the only true surprise is TCC winning their region after going up to absolutely, Travis. Man, what they did in 16A to me is amazing. To me is absolutely amazing. Now, there is one other surprise, and I've been on this team for 2 years, and I gave them kudos last week, but the Berrien Rebels, to me, have been a surprise this year. They come in as a 4 seed, but we're talking Berrien as a 4 seed in the playoffs. And so my nephew is in the band at Berrien High, and he was having senior night. So I did not make the long trip over to Kingsland. So because I wanted to attend my nephew's senior night, and it was up in Nashville. And so they were taking on Fitzgerald And man, it was a really, really good game. Now Fitzgerald won by a couple of scores, but I think even the Fitzgerald fans would admit that Berrien gave them all they wanted. And that dude, there's an athlete that plays for. There's actually two or three of them. Josiah Davis. Oh my gosh, this dude is a stud. DeMar Riley, I believe is his name. Another running back for Berrien. Fantastic athlete. Fantastic. Ben, I hope you're right. He says Berrien's going to round 2. Guys, at 7:30, I'll have Sam Horn, superfan for the Valdosta Wildcats. He'll be calling into the show to talk about Valdosta's season briefly, and then to talk about, or maybe even give a projection on what he thinks Valdosta will do in the playoffs. Now, Sam, I gave him a hard time at the beginning of the season, but he came pretty close. His prediction for Region 1-7A was that he said from all along that Colquitt would win the region. Then he predicted that Valdosta would be the 2nd seed, Camden would be the 3rd seed, and Lowndes would be the 4th seed. He came very, very close to getting that done. Valdosta slipped up against Camden, just couldn't produce enough offense over there in Kingsland. And so he was very close to getting that done. Rufus says Lowndes may not score against Carrollton. You could be right. You could be right. Now, I would be surprised. Now, it would not surprise me, Rufus, if Carrollton beats Lowndes. It would surprise me to see them shut out Lowndes. Even if you're generous and you give them two field goals. No, I think Lowndes is going to score on Carrollton. Is it going to be enough to beat Carrollton? I don't know. This team is so guys. I'll tell you, as a Lowndes fan, it's frustrating because this team is so unpredictable. Sometimes they look like world beaters, and sometimes, as of late, they just can't get out of their own way, and I can't figure them out. It's just someone that follows the program as closely as I do, and I've talked to other Lowndes super fans as well, and we just can't figure this team out. So hopefully we get our act together, and you never know when, Rufus, you know as well as I do that all you need to do is get to the dance. When you get to the dance, anything can happen. Heck, you can find a pretty girl at the dance, right? So you never know. You never know. So fingers crossed as a Lowndes fan. Hopefully we'll go pretty deep into the playoffs. So speaking of the playoffs, who do you guys think? Yeah, I know Rufus is jerking your chain, but sometimes Rufus, you gotta, I guess you gotta see the history of Rufus and some of the other super fans on from the vent, right? Sometimes you take Rufus seriously. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you have to read between the lines, that kind of stuff. When he says that he doubts that Lowndes would score, I think he's being serious. That is a serious comment to me. There's no joking in there about that. Now he also says Lowndes does not travel well. That's not true. Now we haven't traveled as well in recent years as we have in the past. And I remember guys I don't know, 5-10 years ago, it would be common to see a couple thousand, 2,500 Lowndes fans going on a road trip. Now, honestly, guys, I'm going to shoot it to you straight. Honestly, you're lucky to see 500. That's the truth. I think when we went to East Coweta, we had 200 fans there. I'm talking about fans, paying fans, not band members, that kind of stuff. So does that come with championships and winning? Yeah, if you take a look at Colquitt, Rufus, when Justin Rogers was there, when he was losing early on in the playoffs, you saw the Colquitt crowd. I've been told, I wasn't there, but you saw the Colquitt travel crowd diminish as well compared to the Rush Probst deep playoffs years, right? I mean, that just comes with winning consistently. So if Grage turns things around at Lowndes and they start being world beaters again, yeah, you'll see the road travel crew for Lowndes start to pick up again. You see that for any team. It's not specific to Lowndes, but you see that with any team. You win. Winning takes care of everything. You win, you get funds. You win, you get teams that travel well on the road. You get charter buses. You get, winning takes care of everything. You guys know that. That is a general rule that is universal across rec teams, middle school, high school, college, pros. You win, you get what you want. That's basically the way it works, right? So far, we have lost all of our away games. Jerry Safford, you're right. Guys, I'm not going to turn this into a lounge show tonight. You got to wait till, you Lounge fans, you got to wait till Thursday night to get into all the lounge talk, because there is a lot to talk about tonight. This is the pregame blitz Tuesday. Let's talk about some of the playoff games that's coming up. I'm going to run through a couple of these classifications real quick. We're not going to go through the entire bracket. We're going to focus on the games for teams that are in our area. Okay. Because I don't know much about Rockmart or Darlington or Jasper County, Mount Vernon, Pepperell. That would be unfair to talk about some of those games. So the teams that you guys are fans of, the teams that are from our area, right? So this is Class 1A Division 1. So you see my scribblings next to 4 games on here, and these are the teams that are from our general viewing area. Keith Blaylock says, yes, let's talk about Lowndes. Keith, come back Thursday. We'll give you all the Lowndes talk you want. Okay. But Bacon County and Swainsboro, to me, this is an easy pick. As much as I would love to see the team from Alma, the Red Raiders win, they're having a tough year this year. 1-9 versus a 9-0 Swainsboro team. So you got to give the pick logically. You got to pick Swainsboro, right? Now, same thing with Irwin County against Jefferson County, 8-1 versus 2-8. So obviously the smart pick is there. The money pick is the Irwin County Indians up in the upper right quadrant. You got Dublin versus Pelham, 6-3 versus 3-6. I would think the Irish from Dublin takes that one. Now, this one is a little closer. Bleckley County against Brooks County. Now, it is true that Brooks County is a second seed team. Losing to Irwin County, Irwin County takes the number 1 seed. And so that leaves Brooks County and Maurice Freeman, that vaunted hammer they talk about. I think Bleckley County has to go to Quitman, and there's going to be a big old hammer waiting for Bleckley County. And I give the nod to Maurice Freeman and the Brooks County Trojans. All right, let's go to Class 1A Division 2. Okay, upper left, you have Turner County versus Early. I think this is another easy one. Bobcats from Early. Bottom left, Seminole versus Charlton County. Give the nod to Charlton County. Now, this one's a tougher one. The bottom right quadrant, Lanier County versus Miller County. Lanier County has lost some close games over there this year. Could it be the year for the Bulldogs over in Lanier County? I think so. So I'm going to give the nod to Lanier County. And plus, I got a little bit of sentimental favorite there because my nephew and niece, another nephew and niece, go to high school over in Lanier County. So I'm feeling sentimental, and I'm giving the nod to a family member's team. Lanier County takes this one. Clinch County, upper right quadrant. Clinch County versus Mitchell. I think the smart money is the Clinch County Panthers. So that's Class 1A Division 2. Now you roll into Class 2A. This is where it starts really getting interesting. So there's going to be a lot more competitive games. Upper left, not very competitive. Fitzgerald all day. Bottom left, you got 2 pretty competitive games, I think, in Pierce County and Laney. I think Pierce County takes that one. The Bears over in Blackshear. Now, is this another sentimental pick? Spencer out of Columbus, Georgia is 8-2. Berrien has to travel as the number 4 seed out of Region 1-2A. They have to travel to Columbus Friday night. I'm riding or dying with the Berrien Rebels this year. Tim Alligood is my man until he proves that he's not my man anymore. Some people would call that a bandwagon fan, but I'm not a bandwagon fan. I'm an alumnus, I should say. Right? So I'm picking Big Red from Nashville to upset the Spencer Green Wave. So upper right, you got Worth County and Northeast. I'm going with the Rams and Sylvester. Washington County versus Appling, the Pirates out of Baxley. And Ace Charter and Cook County. Listen, let me restate this. Let me say it emphatically. I love what Byron Slack has done up in Adel this year. I think it's going to be the Cook County Hornets. Ben, you might be right. It could be the Spencer House. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not a big Spencer fan. So anyway, I think you get my gist, my drift there. Let's go Bainbridge Bearcats. Chris Sellers, I hear you, man. I hear you. Northeast threw that game against Spencer to get out of that bracket. No, you got to be jesting. I've heard of rumors in the past of coaches purposely throwing games to set up an easier run through the brackets. Do y'all really think that happens? I don't. I mean, if I'm a coach, my pride would prevent me from purposely throw a game so you get an easier bracket. Come on, where's your manhood? To me, that's crazy. And plus, you're cheating your players out. You're cheating your players when you do something. So I don't think any coach worth his salt would ever do that. There's no way. No way can I ever believe a coach would purposely throw a game for an easier seed in the brackets. Rockmart, Sleeper, look at their records. Some of you getting spicy tonight. All right, so let's talk about Class 3A. Upper left, Thomasville versus Jackson. Yeah, Thomasville after a rough start, because they did have a tough competition early on. They have really turned on the Jets and blitzed that region over there. So I'm thinking the Bulldogs from Thomasville take that. Now, this one's a little bit more difficult, I think, to pick. Lower left, Crisp County versus Peach. I think Peach is going to win this game, but we're talking about the Crisp County Cougars. They've got a history of good football, especially in recent years. Now, they have had some coaching turnover, pretty good bit over the last, 3 or 4 years, maybe 3 to 5 years. So is that it? Or maybe it's a little dry on talent. I'm not exactly sure what's going on in Crisp County, but to me, it was a little bit more difficult to pick just because of the reputation of Crisp County. But with that said, I'm still going with Peach County. Then you got the team from Albany over there, Dougherty County against Mary Persons. I'm going with the Trojans this year, man. I think we're going to see a team from Albany other than Lee County. Did y'all catch that? We're going to see another team from Albany other than Lee County do well, I think, in at least first couple of rounds of the playoffs. 8-2, Dougherty Trojans over there, I think, take care of business. Okay, so Class 4A, the state playoffs. Upper left, Baldwin or Bainbridge. Yeah, the Bearcats. They've had a pretty strong schedule this year. Come through it. I think they're starting to peak at the right time, right? Claiming the number 1 seed out of Region 1 4A. And I think it's the Bearcats. They're going to make it at least to, I think, the quarterfinals. Then you got the bottom left. You got Trinity Christian against Wayne. I'm going with Wayne County. Perry against Shaw. The 9-1 Perry Panthers, I think, is going to take this. This one's a little bit more close. Going to be close, but I like the syrup makers over there. Listen, how can you ever bet against a team with the nickname syrup makers? Yeah, I'm being facetious, but I still like the Kuros syrup makers over there. Now, some of you guys, this is, Class 5A, 6A, 7A. This is when it starts getting really, really tough, I think. Now, 5A is not as strong as it's been in the past. I think Ware County not just this game, but this might be Ware County's year. Finally, can the Ware County Gators make a run? So who do they have to take on in the playoffs? Yeah, I think they beat Jones County in the first round. So out of Chamblee and McIntosh, I think they win that one. Then they probably take on Kell or Calhoun, probably Calhoun. I think the Gators beat Calhoun this year, and all of a sudden, they find themselves in the semifinals. So at the bottom left, you got, let's see, out of this group down here, you might have Jefferson. You might have Dutchtown. Let's say it's either Dutchtown or Jefferson, one or the other. Okay. So up here, upper right, Warner Robins. That's another mystery team this year. So I'm thinking bottom right, Cartersville. Now, I would not be surprised. Y'all don't get me wrong. I think Coffee County wins that first round matchup. And I heard this crazy question. To me, it was a crazy question. So Chris Pace, Rodney Johnson, Buddy Collins. I don't know if you heard this crazy question that I heard earlier today, a couple hours ago. But I heard someone ask the question, is Coffee County overrated this year? I couldn't believe that question was asked. Do you guys think Coffee County is overrated this year since the question's already been thrown out there? Do you guys think Coffee County is overrated? Now, they did lose Robbie Pruitt, longtime coach at Coffee County, did some amazing things over there. Almost came within a cat's hair of winning a state championship at Coffee, which they really should have won, right? They really should have won that game. Man, you miss a field goal as they close out the game, really a chip shot field goal. But anyway, I'm not going to rehash all that. So Robbie Pruitt exits the pro. Oh, by the way, congratulations to Robbie Pruitt. The dude took over a Williston High team out of, I think, North Florida. Was 1-8 last year. You know how they did this year? Undefeated, 10-0. Robbie Pruitt is a great head coach. The guy wins everywhere he goes, right? So congratulations to Robbie Pruitt and the Williston High School bunch down there to go from 1-8 to a 10-0 year, first year turnaround. Fantastic. So congratulations to Robbie Pruitt. Not that he's watching tonight, but there could be some Coffee fans that keep in touch with Coach Pruitt. So y'all tell him congratulations from LG. Yeah, Chris Pace, you couldn't believe that question either. But since the question has already been thrown out there, are the Coffee County Trojans overrated as a football team this year? Well, they did. I think, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, y'all did graduate a lot of players, a lot of skilled athletes last year. So you can replace a new quarterback, I think, new running back. And if I'm wrong, just please tell me, because I'm used to being wrong. Some of you would agree with that. But then you got a first-year head coach that has probably changed the system. And then he goes 8-2 his first year. So is he overrated? No, I think he's performed better than expected with being a first-year head coach. Because listen, we've got other teams in the area that have first-year head coaches, right? My Lowndes Vikings has a first-year head coach. We go 5-5. On the flip side, Thomas County Central has a first-year head coach. They go 10-0. Last year, Tift County had a first-year head coach. They go what? I can't remember. They won 3 or 4 games, maybe 5 games last year, something like that. So for a first-year head coach that loses some talent, to go 8-2 his first year, I think is actually ahead of schedule. So Chris agrees with me. Coffee's not overrated. 2 losses doesn't make a team overrated. Coffee and Ware played almost the same schedule. Exactly right. Exactly right. So Chris says 8-2, 9-1 was his expectation. Now, with that said, Chris, I will tell you, I was surprised at the outcome of the coffee, where I thought it would be at least a closer game. I expected coffee to win that game, but I was surprised at how big of a margin it was. I'll just leave it at that. I just did not see Ware County was just that much better than Coffee. Maybe they got them on a bad night. I'm not exactly sure, but to even ask the question, I think is a bit ridiculous. Coffee's not overrated. So anyway, so Creekside. Now I would not be surprised to see, either Coffee here, or probably, most likely, I think Cartersville. I'm sorry for my chicken scratch, guys. Now, that said, guys, if it's Ware versus Creekside or Ware versus one of these other teams, I like the Ware County Trojans. Ware County Trojans. We're just talking about Trojans. I like the Ware County Gators as your state champions this year in 1-5, not 1-5, but in Class 5A. So, will they do it? I don't know. It might be their year. They're due, right? They're due. Jason Strickland, man, more power to you, dude. If you can pull down a state championship in Ware County, that is something I don't think has ever been done. I think Waycross High has a couple of state championships, if I'm not mistaken, but I don't think Ware County has won a state title. Y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think so. For Jason Strickland to bring the first state championship to the Ware County Gators, that would be tremendous. Rufus, back to my original question. There's only 2 seeds to bet on in the playoffs. One is Lee County. The other is Park. I actually agree with you. So I think my question was, who's the most dangerous 4th seed? In this area, you got the Crisp County Cougars. You got the Berrien Rebels going over to Columbus, take on Spencer. You got Lowndes traveling up to Carrollton. And you got Houston County traveling over to Brunswick. But no, wait a minute. Hold up. Let me look at something. Oops. Okay. So now Lee County. So you got 1-6A here. Yeah. So Rufus, Lee County is not a 4th seed. So Lee County is a 3 seed out of Region 1. So the 4th seed would be, I got it marked down here. Yeah, Houston County. So I think, now you may have meant to say Houston County out of Region 1-6A. I'm not sure. But if that's the case, I agree with you. Houston County out of region, because that was a very, very competitive region this year, right? And they travel over to Brunswick to take on the Pirates over there. That's going to be a really, really good game. I think that's probably going to be the most competitive game in the 6A bracket this week, right? I would not be shocked. To see Houston County pull off an upset. Now, the Brunswick Pirates, another first-year head coach, although he was there last year, I believe. Is it Grady Garrett was the offensive coordinator last year? He got promoted when Sean Pender took another job. So he was a first-year head coach, but his team was already in place. He had already learned the system. His system was already in place as far as offense goes. Another Lowndes guy, former Lowndes guy, and former Camden guy, David Shores, is the defensive coordinator for the Brunswick Pirates, and they are having an outstanding season. Because I would not be surprised. I think, though, Brunswick still takes this, but I would not be surprised to see Houston County leave that stadium over there. Is it Glenn County Stadium? The Victors over there. So you got the upper left, Thomas County Central. Yeah, that's going to be. Listen, how about those Yellow Jackets? They're hosting their first home playoff game since, what was it, 2016? I can't remember. But anyway, they are hosting a playoff game. Yeah, the first one in quite a while. 10-0 perfect season. I think they take their first round. Now, take a look at Thomas County Central's odds of did I miss a call from Sam? Sam Horn, where are you? It's 7:42, my brother. You're supposed to call at 7:30. Maybe he texted me. I can't remember. So Sam's running a little late. We just send him a quick text. Maybe he just forgot. Maybe he just ran into something. Sometimes these things happen. We're all husbands and fathers. You got duties at home you got to take care of. Sometimes you just don't have time to do that kind of stuff. So take a look in the upper right. You got Lee County at Effingham. Now, I will agree with you with this regard on this point, Rufus. I think Lee County is going to be one of the most dangerous teams in the playoff, especially coming in as a third seed, because I think they beat Effingham County. Although Effingham's having a pretty good year, I would not be surprised to see them travel over to Effingham and taking that one. So if you take a look at these two teams, Thomas County first, I think they take the second round game. They might face a Roswell. This is where it might get interesting for Thomas County Central. I think TCC takes it. Am I high on TCC and Justin Rogers? Yeah. So I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, although Roswell is a very, very good team this year as well. Now, if Brunswick can get past Houston County, I think they meet Gainesville in the quarterfinals. And then, I think this is where Gainesville just outmuscles them. Gainesville's a very, very good team this year. So on this side, can Lee County make it to the semifinals? It's going to be tough. Do you know why? Because Langston Hughes is waiting for them in the quarterfinals. Langston Hughes is a very, very, very good team. They're going to beat River Ridge. They're going to beat Blessed Trinity or Northside, the winner of that game. North Forsyth, the winner of that game. Now, is Lee County going to beat Woodward Academy at a round 2? I think they got a good shot. They got to travel for the second week in a row to do that. But I don't think they will. I think Woodward Academy meets Langston Hughes in the quarterfinals, but I would not be surprised to see Lee there. If Lee meets Hughes up in Atlanta, I think it's the end of the road for the Trojans. And I see Hughes going to the semifinals. This side of the bracket, to me, it's a toss-up. I would not be surprised to see Northside Warner Robins. Ben Beam. I wouldn't be surprised to see Northside at least make it to the quarterfinals, where they run into probably a pretty strong Rome team. I should say decent Rome team, right? I wouldn't be surprised. Northside is playing some really, really good defense. Wouldn't it be interesting to see TCC Gainesville in the semifinals? On the right side, you have Langston Hughes versus Northside. And by chance, I think Gainesville beats TCC by chance. Wouldn't it be cool to see a rematch in the state championship game, TCC versus Northside Warner Robins on a neutral field? That would be cool. That would be cool. Travis Hart, I agree with you. I think Langston Hughes wins 6A as well. That they're the odds-on favorite to do that, I think. Thomas County Central puts 50 on Evans. Yeah, easy. Rube says, you do know everything. He's demoting Lee County. This year they probably do deserve the demotion. Lee is just not the Lee that we're used to. In our recent memory, we're used to Lee County dominating. And they just haven't done that this year. They've lost a couple of games, and they just haven't dominated this year. That's all I can say about that. But I think Glenn Hodges is right. Houston County is the dangerous 4 seed. Lee County is a dangerous 3 seed. I would not be surprised to see Region 1 6A sweep the first round. It could happen. I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen. But on the flip side, I wouldn't be surprised to see both Houston and Lee go down in the first round. Sounds like I'm kind of wishy-washy, right? Because it's like, yeah, I am. When it comes to those two teams, they look really, really strong, especially in region play, beating each other up, right? But when you get into the playoffs, you just never know. And I think that region on the coast is stronger than in years past as well. I don't think it's likely that Effingham beats Lee County, but I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked to see Brunswick beat Houston County. I think that's going to happen. Probably, but it's not in stone. Yeah, absolutely. Will Palmer, Lee is dangerous. They just have better competition this year in region play. Will, you might be right. It could be as simple as that. But you know what? They had good competition in the last, 5, 7, 8 years as well. And this year, they're just down a little bit. It's okay. It's okay for your team to be down. So, and it's not a show of disrespect to say it out loud either, right? Lowndes is down some this year. Lee County is down this year. Coffee is down compared to the Robbie Pruitt years of recent past, right? There's no shame into saying your team's down a little bit. I mean, some fans just take big offense to that, but it's the truth. It's reality. Your team's not going to stay on top year after year or decade after decade. You're going to have some down years. And sometimes as a fan, it would be wise just to take your medicine and just admit that sometimes it's just not your year. It's not your team's year, right? So anyway, we got a few minutes left in the show. Let's go over to Class 7A. Now, there are going to be several teams in this area. Let's start in the upper left quadrant. Do you guys think it's the odds-on favorite to see in the state championship game? No, the state championship game obviously will not be Colquitt versus Buford because they're on the same side of the bracket, the left side of the bracket. So who else could it be, right? So is it safe to say? Let me go ahead and take that comment. Is it safe to say from the left bracket, it's either going to be Colquitt County or Buford representing the left side? I think that's a safe bet. So you got Colquitt there, you got Buford here. So I think that's a pretty good bet, right? But who represents the right side? This is where it gets a little bit more sticky. Now, if you're a Valdosta fan, you think that Valdosta runs the table here. Now, who could they stump? No, who are the good teams in their quadrant that they would have to beat, right? Westlake is a good team. Parkview is a decent team. Parkview is another dangerous 4 seed. Who else you got? I don't know much about North Paulding, but I do know that Mill Creek is a good team. Listen, if you haven't had a chance to see that Mill Creek versus Buford matchup, man, what a game that was. That was a good game. Really, really, really good game. Buford obviously won that matchup, but Mill Creek was a very good team. Gave Buford all they wanted that night. Listen, another good team, North Cobb. Now, obviously, if you're a Valdosta fan, Mill Creek or North Cobb, one of those guys are going to knock off the other, right? North Paulding and Parkview, one of those guys is going to knock off the other. So if you're a Valdosta fan, what's your realistic road to the semifinals? So the realistic road is probably, I'm going to go ahead, although North Paulding is a number 1 seed, I would not be surprised. I'm going to give the upset to Parkview. I wouldn't be surprised. North Paulding is probably going to win that game, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Parkview. So Valdosta and Parkview. I'm just going to automatically give Valdosta the win in round 1. So now you got Valdosta versus Parkview. Man, I apologize for my handwriting on this screen. It is atrocious. With that said, I think Valdosta goes to the quarterfinal. That's realistic, right? If they beat Westlake, I think Valdosta is in the quarterfinal. Now, who are they going to take on in the quarterfinal? I think it's going to be Mill Creek. And when that happens, I think that's the end of the road and Mill Creek beats Valdosta. So on the right side, Mill Creek represents the upper right quadrant. The lower right quadrant is probably going to be who? Probably, just to conserve some time, it's probably going to be Milton. Now, if you are a Region 1-7A fan, you got Camden County right here. They're going to beat East Coweta. East Coweta is not going to know how to handle this wing tee. So Camden is going to beat East Coweta. Then they got to face Grayson on the road. I think Grayson has enough firepower, but Grayson's offense is going to have to play well that night. If Grayson's offense sputters a little bit, Camden County is going to find themselves, and I think they will, they're going to find themselves in the quarterfinals. Jeff Herron in his is this second or third year? Anyway, he's going to find himself in the quarterfinals against a Milton team, and Milton has enough firepower to overcome that Camden wing tee. So I think that's going to be your 4 teams in the semifinals when it comes to Class 7A. Now, who's your pick? Let's go with the easy one first, okay? Mill Creek versus Milton. Who do you guys like? I like Mill Creek. So I think it's Mill Creek represents the right half of the bracket. Now, the left half of the bracket. Guys, this game is going to have some firepower. And I think the winner really comes down to the coin toss. I really do. I think if they play on the road in Buford, I think Buford wins that game. And I think Buford wins it easily. If they come down to Moultrie, all bets are off. I think it's a much closer game in Colquitt. And I think Colquitt wins that game in Moultrie. So it comes down to the coin toss, in my mind anyway. So what am I saying? I don't know. I'm going to have to wait and see who wins this coin toss. Travis Hart says, they on the other side. I don't know what you're asking. Did I do something wrong? I'm not sure what you're asking. You guys might be having a conversation with each other. I'm not sure. Travis Hart says Buford is the best team in the bracket. Travis, I agree with you. On paper, I think Buford is loaded. From their roster from top to bottom is loaded. But I think if Colquitt County can get Buford in the hog pen, that is a great equalizer. We've seen it year after year after year. We've seen some really good teams come into Moultrie and lose. Now, albeit with a different head coach. Y'all know who I'm talking about. But I think Sean Calhoun is a very good head coach, right? And the guy knows how to call an offense. Now, that's not a knock on other coaches, but Sean Calhoun is a very good offensively minded coach, in my opinion. So you couple that with to me, an upgraded hostel environment in Moultrie with the lights and the sound system. Listen, you got what, 50,000 speakers in the south end zone that make a pig squealing sound or a grunting sound, whatever sound it is. It can be intimidating if you're not used to that. So then you add the hog pound fans over there on the visitor side, and the way the stadium is structured, those fans are right on top of the visiting sideline right there, right? So it can't, if you're not accustomed to that, I don't care if you're a Buford Wolf. If you're not accustomed to that, it can be a shock to your system for the first quarter and a half because emotion rules the day early in a game, And I think Colquitt County has the emotional edge playing at home. That is negated on the road if they go to Buford. But at home, I think Colquitt has a decided advantage. That's just the way I see it. So I'm going to wait until I see who wins this coin toss. So I'm on record now. It's whoever wins this coin toss, I think that's going to be the win. So it could be Colquitt. I know this is kind of a coward's way out. Or it could be Buford. Anyway, that's how I see the 7A bracket shaping up. Now, for you Lowndes fans, you're probably thinking, what about Lowndes? What about Lowndes? Let's talk about that real fast over here. So they got to go up to Carrollton to take on a very, very good Carrollton Trojan team. They're 10-0 this year. There's a reason why. And it's not an easy region either. It's not. Let me tell you some of the teams in this region. So you got Carrollton at the top of the list. They're perfect 10-0, 4-0 in the region. Westlake is 7-3 overall, 3-1 in the region. They're a second seed. East Coweta, Lowndes fans, do you remember East Coweta? They beat us pretty handily up there. They're 6-4 and 2-2 in the region. And then you got Pebblebrook as the 4 seed. I think Pebblebrook is better than their record indicates. They're 4-6 overall, 1-3 in the region. But heck, they're 1-3 in the region for a reason, because they lost to East Coweta, Westlake, and Carrollton, who are 3 really good teams. So don't take this region 2 7A for granted. Just don't do it. So what am I saying? If you're a Lowndes fan, that might be a long night for you. If you're a Lowndes fan, as a Lowndes fan, I'm hoping our Vikings catch fire. And I hope they go up there to Carrollton with a chip on their shoulders and play pissed off, because the world expects them to lose to the Carrollton Trojans. You know, it happened earlier this year. Now, albeit at home, in the friendly confines of the Concrete Palace, absolutely no one gave Lowndes a chance against the Grayson Rams. So Lowndes played pissed off. That coaching staff coached pissed off. And sometimes that's what a team needs. They need a swift kick in the pants, someone to light a fire under them, and to play with a chip on their shoulders. If Lowndes can go up to Carrollton and play with a chip on their shoulders for 4 straight quarters, will it surprise me to see Lowndes beat Carrollton? Yes, it will. Will I be pleasantly surprised? Absolutely. Can Lowndes beat Carrollton? Absolutely. So if you're a Viking fan, Lowndes can win. But they got to go up there and play with a chip on their shoulders. You know, no one else can do it for them. So let's assume for a second that Lowndes pulls off the unlikely and beats Carrollton. Who's waiting for him? Probably a Marietta team. Let's say they beat, because Marietta is not a great world beater this year. Now, before some of you, like Rufus, claims that Larry said that Lowndes is going to make it all the way to the semifinals, this is a potential scenario if Lowndes catches fire. Do I think this is going to happen? Probably not. But if it were to happen, this is how it could happen. So Lowndes goes up there and upsets Carrollton. Then they got to go on the road again and play a Marietta team. And let's say they avenge that loss they had to Marietta in the state championship game a few years back. And so they take that game. And so now you have Lowndes against Buford. Let's just all agree that Buford's here. Now, can Lowndes travel to Buford and beat Buford? No. That's where the Cinderella season ends, right? That's just the way it is. Now, do I hope I'm wrong? Yeah. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's Lowndes knocking off Buford. I hope it's Lowndes knocking off Colquitt County, and I hope it's Lowndes knocking off Mill Creek or Milton in the state championship game. Anything can happen when you reach the playoffs, right? So anyway, we'll just have to wait and see. So whatever happens this Friday night, congratulations to all the region winners, really to all the teams that have made the playoffs. when it comes to high school ball, your number one goal is to make the dance. Obviously, you want to be the number one seed, but your number one goal is to make the dance. And when you make the dance, anything can happen. And heck, you might find a pretty girl along the way to take you all the way to the top, right? That's what happens when you get into the dance. Anything can happen. So let's just hope that our Lowndes Vikings catches fire. Congratulations to all the playoff teams out there. Good luck to all our South and Middle Georgia teams. That's going to do it for tonight's show. Got to jump on this other political show. So anyway, you guys have a great weekend. No, it's only Tuesday night. You guys have a great, productive week, and we'll see you at a ball game on Friday night. Catch you guys later. Go Vikings.